The hall fell quiet in the way only advanced civilizations managed, not with silence but with thousands of systems politely deciding to stop making noise at the same time. The human noticed this because the floor beneath him stopped vibrating, and he nearly lost his balance as a result. He corrected himself, muttering something about floors that couldn't commit to a personality, and hoped no one important had heard. Someone important had heard. The alien princess stood a step away, close enough that he became suddenly, painfully aware that this was not a normal conversation zone for anyone who valued continued existence. She regarded him with an expression that suggested patience was an art form on her world. Her long ears shifted slightly, an unconscious movement that drew his attention just long enough for him to realize staring was probably a bad idea. "So," he said, because silence made him nervous and nervousness made him talk, "is this the part where I'm supposed to kneel, bow, or pretend I meant to be here?" Several robed figures stiffened. A floating glyph flickered irritably. The princess, however, made a small sound that might have been a laugh, or might have been an alien diplomatic response for this human is defective but interesting. "You were summoned," she said. "Right," he replied. "Yes, summoned. Happens to me all the time. Usually it's for unpaid fines or accidentally breaking laws I didn't know existed." A device overhead pulsed once, as if taking notes. The moment pressed in on them, thick with expectation. He could feel it in the way the air resisted his breathing, in the way every machine nearby seemed to lean closer, listening. He didn't know what they were waiting for, only that it felt rude not to give them something. The princess's gaze never left his. "You are afraid." "Absolutely," he said, "but I've found honesty saves time, also lives, mostly mine." Her lips curved, just barely. The reaction sent a ripple through the chamber. Something ancient stirred. He ignored it because ignoring things larger than him had become a survival skill. She stepped closer. His brain supplied several unhelpful thoughts, none of which he repeated. Instead, he leaned in, lowering his voice, instinctively choosing softness over spectacle. "Hey," he whispered, "whatever's about to happen, you don't have to face it alone. I don't know your rules or your prophecies, or why everyone looks like they're waiting for the universe to sneeze, but you're doing fine. And if everything goes wrong, we'll improvise. Humans are great at that. It's basically our religion." The machines reacted, not loudly, not dramatically. They adjusted, timelines nudged. Probability engines hesitated, then recalculated with visible confusion. Somewhere deep beneath the hall, something very old marked a box as completed. The princess froze. For half a second the human wondered if he had just accidentally declared war. Then she smiled. It wasn't wide. It wasn't triumphant. It was knowing and warm and carried the unmistakable weight of something clicking into place after waiting a very long time. Her long ears angled forward, attentive, alive. "Oh," she said softly, "so that's how it happens." He swallowed, good O or bad O. Her smile lingered. Around them, the hall began to hum again, systems waking with purpose instead of patience. Futures rearranged themselves with quiet enthusiasm. She met his eyes. "Neither," she said. "I think it's inevitable." He exhaled a laugh, thin but genuine. "Great. I always wanted to be inevitable. Sounds exhausting." She laughed then, openly, and the universe, apparently satisfied, leaned in closer. Time did not immediately end, which the human took as a positive sign. Instead, it stretched itself awkwardly, like it had been caught doing something embarrassing, and decided to pretend this was normal now. The humming system settled into new rhythms, and the assembled figures began speaking all at once in several languages that sounded offended to exist near each other. He leaned back slightly. "Okay, so, quick question. Did I just activate something ancient and irreversible, or was that more of a polite cosmic suggestion?" The princess did not answer right away. She appeared distracted, listening to something he could not hear, her long ears angled as if catching whispers from the walls themselves. When she finally looked at him again, her expression was composed, but her eyes held a brightness that made his stomach tighten. "You spoke the words," she said. "I speak a lot of words," he replied. "Most of them get me into trouble. I'm hoping these were the charming kind." "They were," she said, and then added with a hint of amusement, "unfortunately." They were escorted, guided felt too generous, through a sequence of corridors that reconfigured themselves halfway through walking, forcing him to jog to avoid being gently folded into a wall. He complained loudly about this, which earned him several shocked glances and one very amused look from the princess. "You find this humorous?" he asked. "I find you consistent," she said. "That is rare during convergence events." "Convergence events," he repeated. "I feel like that's something people should warn others about ahead of time." A hovering archive drifted alongside them, projecting lines of ancient script that scrolled far too fast to read. It cleared its throat, a purely performative gesture. "Prophetic alignment confirmed," it announced. "Probability collapse underway." "Is it supposed to sound smug?" he asked. "It has waited 9,000 cycles," the princess said. "I would be smug too." They stopped in a chamber that immediately felt less patient than the last. The archive projected an image of two figures standing beneath a fractured sky, one unmistakably human, the other bearing long ears and a crown that looked heavier than it had any right to be. He squinted. "That one needs better posture." "That is you," she said. "Yeah, that tracks." The archive continued. "The voice not born of our stars shall speak without command, and in that softness the path shall open." He glanced at her. "You're telling me this whole thing hinges on me, not knowing what I was doing?" "Yes," she said. "It is deeply unsettling." She moved closer, lowering her voice. "All my life, I was taught this moment would come with fire or blood or certainty. Instead, it came with you." "Hey," he said, "I contain multitudes, mostly bad timing." Despite herself, she laughed again, and the tension eased just enough. Outside the chamber, reality adjusted its grip. Inside, two destinies sat uncomfortably close, pretending this was all still theoretical. The universe waited, which the human found rude after everything it had already put him through. He stood in the center of a chamber that had finally decided on a stable shape, arms folded, tapping his foot as if impatience might intimidate causality itself. "So," he said, addressing no one in particular and everyone at once, "is this the part where lightning shoots out of my hands, or do I just sign something?" The archive hovered nearby, quieter now, as if trying not to draw attention to itself after being wrong about several dramatic predictions. "There will be no lightning," it admitted. "The resolution phase favors subtlety." "Figures," he muttered. "I trained my whole life for nothing." The princess stood beside him, close enough that he no longer flinched at it. Somewhere along the way, the fear had shifted shape. It was still there, but it had learned to share space with curiosity, with trust, with the strange comfort of knowing he was exactly where he was supposed to be, even if he had no idea why. "The futures are stabilizing," she said. Her long ears tilted forward, attentive to the invisible currents settling around them. "The worlds that were meant to fracture will not. The war lines are dissolving." "And all it took," he said, "was me saying something nice." She looked at him. "You spoke without intent to rule, without demand. That is what the prophecy required." He considered that, then nodded slowly. "Okay, that tracks. Humans ruin most things the moment we start planning." The chamber hummed differently now. Not tense, purposeful. A network of stars adjusted their trajectories by fractions so small they would never be noticed, except by those who would have suffered otherwise. The archive dimmed its projections, satisfied, and quietly powered down several apocalyptic subroutines it had been looking forward to. "It's done," it said with something like disappointment. The princess exhaled, a breath she had been holding since before she was born. She turned to him fully, her smile softer now, no longer carrying the weight of inevitability but choice. "You are free to return to your world," she said. He blinked. "That's it." "That is it." He waited for the other part, When it didn't come, he laughed. Huh, I thought there'd be more paperwork. She studied him. You are changed. Yeah, he said. Turns out the universe doesn't need saving with force. Sometimes it just needs someone to listen and not panic immediately. I'm still working on the second part. Silence settled between them, comfortable this time. He realized he wasn't in a hurry to leave. He also realized that for once that wasn't fear talking. She touched his arm, light, deliberate. You could stay. He raised an eyebrow. You sure? I complain a lot. I have noticed, she said, amused. But the path is open now, not because it must be, because we choose it. He nodded, something steady settling in his chest. Okay, he said. Then let's see where it goes. The universe, apparently relieved to be done orchestrating, quietly stepped back and let them walk forward on their own.